goodness. I forgot about this.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order and ask our clerk to please call the roll.
Mayor Hatley.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Baldwin.
Here.
Councilman Collins.
Here.
Councilman Coyne. Councilwoman Fontana. Here. Councilman Skidmore.
Here.
Councilman Thomas.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Council, we need to go into executive session for a legal briefing regarding David J. Madison individually as class representative versus County Surfside Beach, City of North Myrtle Beach, and P2 of South Carolina, LLC, D-B-A Pivot Partner. We need a legal briefing regarding the City of Charleston, South Carolina, North Myrtle Beach, concerning Airbnb Incorporated, HomeAway.com Incorporated, case number 2020-CP-10-16CP. A legal briefing regarding White Cat Beach House, LLC, versus the City of North Myrtle Beach, case number 2023-CP-26-00387, and a discussion regarding a potential contract for the city manager search firm.
And Mayor, we're going to add one item, and that is a legal briefing regarding Myrtle Beach versus North Myrtle Beach concerning the water transmission line.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Okay, we'll move into executive session.
Where we go?
Council met in executive session. There were no votes taken. We will be going back into executive session because we did not get it completed. But at this time, we will continue with our business and leave it open that we have an executive session. We'll ask Father Merchant. Is Father Merchant? Hey, Father Merchant. Come on up. It's so nice to see you, and we're happy to have you. Mhm.
Let us pray. Most gracious God, we give you thanks and praise for the gift of this day and for all that you have seen us through to be where we are this afternoon. We thank you for your guidance, your protection, for your mercy and your grace. In a special way, O Lord, I commend to your gracious keeping the City Council of North Myrtle Beach, for each member and for their work as they seek to lead us in this city. We pray that you will lead them so that as they follow your lead, they will do what is right for the city. We pray, Lord, for the appointed leaders and the employees of the city. In a special way, I lift up to you the first responders, for those who seek to take care of us, that you will take care of their family as they are taking care of us wherever we may be. Guide and lead all of us in this city to live as brothers and sisters, seeking your guidance and your mercy. May all that we do in this place be always to your honor and glory, and so that when all is said and done, you will forever be praised because we live in this place as your children. We pray through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Wilmot.
Thank you so much. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council, we have in our packets the minutes from the City Council meeting on Monday, January the 6th, 2025, from the City Council workshop Tuesday, January the 7th, 2025, and the City Council executive session Tuesday, January the 14th, 2025. Is there a motion to accept?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We'll move into communications, and I will turn it over to Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor. So the city has always recognized its employees for longevity, and we've always given bonuses to our employees for 5-year increments with their time served with the city. So it's something that we've always done, but again, I spoke about this last month, kind of got sidetracked with COVID, weren't able to do it in this kind of public setting. So last month we started getting back into doing that. So this will be a routinely monthly thing. So at this time I want to recognize the 4 employees this month that are up for their longevity award. And if, as I call you, if you wouldn't mind coming up, and I'll just take a picture of all 4 of us together as opposed to doing it one at a time. So first is David Snyder. He began working for the Public City Works Department on February 17th, 2020, and he currently holds the position of superintendent in the Fleet Management Department. And in his free time, David enjoys fishing and hunting. So David, if you wouldn't mind coming up, if he's here. Not here. Well, we'll get him that check regardless. I'm sure he'll come looking for it. So with 20 years of experience working for the city, Ben Caldwell, he's began working for the city in the planning division on February 7th, 2005, and he currently holds the position of zoning administrator. Ben is an avid outdoorsman. He enjoys hiking, fly fishing, and camping. He also enjoys cooking and trying new recipes. And most importantly, Ben is the proud father of his 9-year-old son, Nolan. So, Ben, if you want to come on up, we'll take a photo. But let's get the other two. Frank Patterson has 25 years of experience working for the city. He began working for the Parks and Recreation Department on February 14th, 2000, as a maintenance worker. He was a crew leader for several years, and he's currently a landscape technician at the Parks and Sports Complex. Frank is a huge Ohio State Buckeyes fan, and sorry, his peers would describe him as a role model of integrity and work ethic, and a mentor to many of the less experienced crew members in the department. So Frank is a solid employee, and great to have him on the team. And with 35 years of experience, Albert Williams.
Wait a minute, we want to give you
Albert began working for the City Public Works Department on February 19th, 1990. He currently holds the position of wastewater operator C, and in his spare time, Albert enjoys camping and restoring antique hardware or furniture, and he's the proud grandpa of a 6-month-old baby girl. So, Albert. And let me just get the job. Thank you, Dana. Right. Caldwell. Thank you. It's a long time.
Thank
And
you.
the big one. 35 years gets a big
Thank
one.
you.
So. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. Our council, we have in our packet the monthly reports from our department heads. Does anyone have any questions or any comments that they would like to speak with the department heads? I just appreciate all you do. Get compliments every day on how our city is run. So I just appreciate everything that every one of you do. Okay, we'll move into announcements by mayor and city council. Does anybody have an announcement they'd like to make?
Yeah, for Matt in Parks and Rec, the Sweet Stroll this weekend was nice. I think it seemed like it had a pretty good draw of people that probably wouldn't ordinarily in January or February be walking up and down Main Street. So I think definitely put them in the stores and the shops. So it's nice touch.
Yeah, it really did. There was a lot of people, so it was great. The weather was good too, that helped.
It was a perfect day. You did well in the weather this time.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Any other comments?
Thank all the public safety and all the city staff and the public works and everybody else during the snowstorm. I thought they did a wonderful
Yes.
job on dealing with the 3 days of
They did.
danger. I mean, we're
They
not
did.
used to ice and all that good stuff, so thank you all for doing what you did. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments before we move into the consent? We'll move into the consent under item A. It's a resolution to purchase the professional office building located at 1006 6th Avenue South. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we'll open it up for discussion. Does anyone have any comments that they would like to make?
Ryan, I'd just like for you to kind of give us a background on why we need this and why it's a good purchase.
Yeah, so one of the main things we're struggling with as staff is office space, something that's been a problem for a while. So any opportunity to pursue office space that would make sense, we're obviously willing to do that. And this is a property we've been looking at for a while. It's contiguous to our existing campus, and so it'd be easy as far as access from all the buildings here. And it made sense for IT, because IT is kind of one of those departments that's kind of segregated and kind of splashed all over the building, and this would be an opportunity to kind of bring them all under the same roof, give them a little bit more cohesive kind of area to operate, and it just made sense. So that is the reason this was brought up as an idea, and we feel the price is absolutely right. And I don't know if you have more specific questions about what IT plans to do with it. Rob is here to answer those questions. But as far as I know, it is just for office space to house them all under the same roof.
And there was also some talk of possibly moving parking over there and getting rid of the lease on the old Santee Cooper building as well, so.
It is an option. We looked into what we pay Santee Cooper on a monthly basis. Allison, do you remember what that was? I want to say it was about $3,000 a month. I know it was about $3,000, so that would save $36,000 a year in rent. So it's obviously something that we could consider once we get in there and see how it lays out. I think there's more than enough room, but the reason for pursuing it was IT. And then obviously IT, the space that it takes up within City Hall, that would free up areas within the city that we can then fill from other departments that are looking to expand. So it's a win-win for not just IT, but a lot of other departments. But again, parking is something we can certainly look at once we get in there.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any comments from the public?
Jolene Popper, 3506 Turner Avenue, North Myrtle. Couple questions. Is there a number states saying it's a great opportunity? I'm excited for you guys to have that opportunity.
Sure, yeah, we got it appraised about 2 years ago when the city first thought of purchasing it. So we do have an
So
appraisal.
you have a 2-year-old appraisal?
It's a little less than maybe 18 months, I believe.
So the price, just out of curiosity, was that negotiated by a real estate agent, or was that done through attorneys who would be representing the city in that
The
transaction?
$700,000 price. So that was based on a conversation with council, what they were comfortable with
Right.
spending, and a conversation with the property owner, and what they were comfortable with parting with it for. And
So there's no agents involved in any way?
there was no real estate agent involved.
Okay. I was just curious, because it's
Yeah.
always interesting how you come to prices, and the tax value was $655, so you guys are getting an amazing deal. It also listed that it had been for sale, and I didn't notice it anywhere in MLS. I guess the notice, the way it was written, says it was for sale, or is.
Yeah, I know at one point it was listed in MLS, but again, that was probably back around when the original appraisal was done. And, like I said, this isn't the first time the city considered this property. This is just something that when I got put in the position I'm in now, I wanted to dust it off and kind of take a look at it again, because it did make a lot of reasons for us. And, but there was it's not currently listed, and they did not have a real estate agent that represented it, so it made it.
So it's just attorney waiving fees as well?
Yeah, well, the negotiators would be myself and the property owner, and now it's been turned over to attorney, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? We'll close public comment and take our vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? It's a unanimous vote. Item B is a resolution to accept the settlement from Airbnb and its affiliates regarding the lawsuit City of Charleston, City of North Myrtle Beach versus the Airbnb, and authorize the interim city manager to sign the settlement document on behalf of the city, and to further authorize the interim city manager to sign the replacement fee agreement with special counsel that represents North Myrtle Beach in litigation. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is it open for discussion? This lawsuit's been going on for quite a while. And it's not, I don't think it's just us in Charleston. We might be the only two on this suit. But I think there's other cities that are going through some of the same things. I think maybe Greenville, and it's not just the
Mount
coast.
Pleasant, Isle of Palms.
Mount Pleasant, Isle of Palms, yeah.
Make my way over here, Mayor. Not the only city involved in this litigation. The other plaintiffs involved are City of Charleston, City of North Charleston, Charleston County, Isle of Palms, City of Folly Beach, City of Columbia, Town of Hilton Head, Greenville, South Carolina, Mount Pleasant, Edisto Beach, Town of Port Royal, and the Town of Surfside Beach. There were several online platforms that were sued in this lawsuit. Airbnb was one of those. Airbnb has made the decision to settle with all of the different municipalities involved in this case. The total settlement amount is $60 million, and that $60 million will be divided amongst the plaintiff cities that were just read off. The city's share of the settlement after payment of attorney's fees and expenses will be $2,034,978.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Chris.
And the lawsuit was filed in 2021, so it has been ongoing for some
It
time.
has, it's been ongoing. Are there any other comments, any other questions? Is there any comments or questions from the,
Sorry. I should probably get a copy after my next question. Just from Airbnb's standpoint, when they remit this payment to you, is that in fact our taxes, the settlement on the taxes that they were supposed to give you, that they collected from us? Because some of us as owners were also paying, so I was double paying. So Airbnb collected it from me, and then I still paid the 1.5 to the city and to the county. So I guess my question is, would that be something that's eligible for reimbursement if I can show proof that I've paid that through, because this is the end of September, so September, January, February, because we got new books in January to pay this fee. And then I guess my other question is, will going forward, Airbnb be taking that, and we will no longer be required to pay the city?
I would think you would go back to Airbnb and tell them to give you your money back.
But I paid you, and you're getting a settlement. So if you're getting a settlement under the accommodations tax money that was not paid, then in fact, you've been paid twice, by me and then by Airbnb, from where they collected it from me. Because they collected it from me, that's what you're suing them for, right? Is the accommodations tax that they were supposed to remit to you. Because they were collecting it.
well, were they collecting it?
Yeah.
Did they charge you for it?
Yes.
So you paid that and then you turned around and paid the city?
The city requires it. We were not supposed to stop paying, and we actually got information in reference to not stop paying it.
And you continue to pay Airbnb?
I don't have a choice about paying Airbnb. They take it out. The choice I had was paying the city, and I chose to continue to pay the city.
Well, I think Airbnb owes it back to you.
Well, if they're giving you $2 million, they have our tax money.
Well, not necessarily. That's through all the cities. That doesn't mean that was just what was owed to us.
It's actually a good question, and what I can do,
Yes.
as council knows, we're working with outside counsel on this. I'll contact outside counsel and discuss that particular issue with council, and then I can get back with Ms. Puffer for some guidance on that issue.
Okay.
That's another issue you're gonna have is verifying, I mean, it really gets complicated. You don't know what, how much Airbnb actually collected, and did they report everything, or did they just put some under the table?
We can actually show itemized.
I know you can, but we can't verify from Airbnb
Yeah,
what they.
you could show it, but we can't verify it. And
Well, $2 million.
if we did it just for you, we'd have to do it for everybody. And, and how are we going to, I don't know how you would work that out, Chris.
Well, I think
That
you
is
guys are gonna
something
be
that
working
you'll
on
have to get with the other counselors and find out.
And I'll do just that. I'll discuss with outside counsel, and I can report back to
Sure.
council, of course, and Ms. Puffer.
That'd be fine.
Because the $2 million is just for the,
I mean, you're not the first person to bring this question up, and we are kind of working through all this to see what that means and what that's going to look like, because you are correct. I mean, for those that were, didn't want to be accused of not doing what is required, they shouldn't be penalized for saying, okay, I'm going to go above and beyond and just make sure I pay it regardless of what happens with Airbnb. So that's where it's at, how it's all going to work out, and
But I don't know how that's the city's issue.
I'm not saying that it is. I could see the
I
concern.
just don't know if that's the city's problem,
And I'm not saying that,
because the Airbnb was collecting that, not us.
right, but the problem was that they weren't remitting it to us.
But that wasn't our fault.
No, it wasn't. But I mean, I'm
So-
just saying from the person
Yeah.
who would have, like, maybe thinking that it was never going to get figured out, they're like, I'm gonna pay it, and then,
Yeah, that's what we did.
Sure.
so now it's been rectified, there is.
Oh, I understand why you're asking that
Well, and
question.
I guess my
Yeah.
question is, what is the plan with the $2 million?
We don't, this is all new to us in terms of,
So that's why I
We're gonna-
wondered, because would it be something that would restore you as whole, and then obviously?
I mean, I don't want to comment on what those funds are going to be used for. We don't know at this time.
We don't know
but-
at this time.
So we're gonna do our due diligence, and I will certainly get back to you once we, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions concerning the tax from the Airbnb and the settlement? If not, we'll close public comment, take our vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's unanimous. This is ordinance on the second reading. It's amendment to Chapter 20, Land Development Regulations of the Code of Ordinance of North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, creating a sketch plan step for major subdivisions and in common residential developments. Is there a motion to accept?
Second.
Okay, we'll open it up for comments from the council.
Well, I think it's a great way to, control sometimes like we see when somebody just clear cuts a piece of property. This is a way to control it. In the past, we've had fees, but the developer, whoever would pay those fees rather than try to save trees. And this is a good step that will, I believe, achieve that and stop that from in the future.
Yeah, thank you for putting together I asked Jim on Friday if they could put together an example of one of these, just so we could have a little bit of a,
Sure.
kind of, we're all headed the same page.
This is kind of a sketch plan that we got for the Chestnut Greens PDD. So just to give you an idea of what kind of level of detail we would expect at the sketch plan phase of a subdivision. And it would not necessarily be limited to PDDs. It would be limited to all, it would be applied to all subdivisions. So this just gives you an idea of the kind of information that we would be seeking at that sketch plan phase of a process. And then it gives the opportunity for Planning Commission to affect the design before it goes into engineering a level of detail. They can suggest, oh, well, we think you should move this street over here, or we think you should eliminate 3 or 4 lots over there where you've got a significant stand of trees. So it gets Planning Commission in on the front end of the design before serious money is put into engineering.
This is just a very simple sketch that is not too much to ask of a developer.
Correct. And almost every jurisdiction that has a sketch plan phase in there,
Sure.
we just never have. We never saw the need for it before, because prior to our building booms, we didn't really have really large, complicated subdivisions that were sort of west of the waterway. But now that, when our ordinance was first written.
I think it's a good move for us to adjust the ordinance. Any other comments? Any comments from the public? If not, we'll close public comments and take our vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, and there again, it's unanimous. Item A, under new business, is an ordinance on the first reading, amendment to Chapter 23 zoning of the Code of Ordinance of North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, addressing structure projects into required yards. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, are you going to explain it to us tonight? Okay.
There are 2 subsections to this section of the ordinance that are supposed to be amended. The first one showing the houses with the green and red. As you can see, in this example, the house is already built to the setback lines, and the red area is the required yard. So we're proposing to revise the ordinance so that the green area on the next drawing could be used by the owners of the home to build a ramp or a lift. We're seeing that variance come to BZA more frequently, but it doesn't really meet the definition of a hardship, but it's a very compelling reason to grant a variance, so.
Sure.
But we think it doesn't affect the side setbacks, those would stay the same, and it would just allow a ramp or a lift to encroach 50% into the required front or rear setback.
Whereas our population ages, we're gonna see a lot more of these requests, and I think BZA should have a avenue to approve it.
Yeah.
And not say, no, you can't build your ramp, or,
Well, this would remove it from BZA. This would allow staff.
Exactly, and a lot of CA is things like this. So I think it's a good move.
I mean, sometimes it's extremely, the way it's currently written is, especially if it's time sensitive, it's extremely challenging to figure out a way to make it all work.
Absolutely.
So this is
Yeah.
definitely a positive for our community.
That was gonna be my point. When I was on the BZA, I saw this a lot. And usually it was somebody that needed that handicap ramp then. And they waited for the process to come in front of us, and then we really didn't have the tools to approve it.
Right.
Right.
This would let y'all make that decision, and it doesn't have to go in front of the BZA.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
And the second part of this ordinance revises subsections that requires currently a 5-foot separation between HVACs, pool equipment, and generators. And you can see in that top drawing, this has been the effect of this ordinance. It was never intended to create this 5-foot separation between each element along the side of a house. The original intent was what we're proposing, to create a 5-foot separation between that equipment on one lot from another lot, so that there's still a way to navigate, but not create this, 20-foot long amount of mechanical equipment against somebody's house. So that's the point of that revision.
Any comments on that?
No, it's a good thing.
It's just good housekeeping.
yes.
Okay, is there any comments from the public? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Dana Brown. I live at 2314 Vera Way in Longs. On the item that was just discussed for the handicap stuff in the front yard, is there any design standards for that?
No, not that I know of.
There's like ADA.
They would be in the building code, for the ADA standards, there's a certain slope, maximum slope that you can have, and then when you exceed that, you have to have, exceed a certain linear length, you have to have landing areas, so that's all spelled out in the building code,
Sure.
but there's
It's
not.
not in this ordinance.
Right, yeah. This just allows them to be in the front or rear yards up to 50%.
Right, okay.
That's not design standards like if it has to be aluminum or wood or anything like that. So there is no city design standards then?
No. Any other comments? We'll close public comment and take our vote. All in favor say aye.
aye.
All opposed? And that also is unanimous. Item B is the ordinance on the first reading. It's amendment to Chapter 23 zoning of the Code of Ordinance of North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, addressing perimeter landscape requirements. Is there a motion to accept?
Second.
All right, we'll open it up for discussion there again. Suzanne?
Around 2009, an element of our ordinance disappeared where we required a 10-foot landscape buffer in the front along Highway 17, Sea Mountain Highway, Main Street. We have been enforcing it as a city. It has still been a requirement of site plans. We haven't gotten any pushback from anyone on it, but it just had disappeared from our ordinance. So this is putting that back in, adding Water Tower Road, as another road and Champions Boulevard this only really affects commercial parcels. It doesn't affect residential.
Right.
But, so this diagram, you see it in this, This is the Dairy Queen and Dunkin' Donuts that's going in Windy Hill right now. And you can see the 10-foot front perimeter buffer, and then the other sides have 5 feet.
Okay.
And that's mainly the import of this revision.
Nice work.
I agree. I think it's a good, I didn't realize it was out. How I do that?
Time, we had several ordinance amendments that when they got sent off the it was, because we always have done the, you put strike through on items you want deleted, underline on things you add. And when we sent some of those ordinances to MuniCode, I think there was a screw up in there at some point back in 2009 where they inadvertently removed that section of our ordinance because it was never intended for that to be removed. But over the years, we've always known that it was not supposed to have been removed, and we've been enforcing it, and everybody's agreed to do it. So it's just now just putting it back where it should have been all along.
Any other comments?
Pretty clear.
Any comments from the public? So, close public comment and take our vote. All in, aye?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? It is a unanimous aye. Item C. Item C is the ordinance on the first reading as amendment to Chapter 20 zoning of the Code of Ordinance for North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, addressing parking flexibility in an overlay zone.
So in this, in the last comprehensive plan, we identified 4 areas of special concern that corresponded with the historical commercial hearts of the 4 towns that consolidated to make up North Myrtle Beach. You had the Crescent Beach, Cherry Grove, Ocean Drive, and the Windy Hill one. And when we adopted the Ocean Drive one in Main Street, council in this commercial area here, the overlay district, we had a section in there that allowed people to do a fee in lieu of parking, because we know that in the historical Main Street, a lot of the buildings were built up to the sidewalk and they didn't have dedicated parking lots.
Right.
So it was decided at that time that in order to spur investment in that corridor, council adopted a fee in lieu option that said, if you can't provide parking on your site, but you want to do something to invest in your property, you can pay into the city's parking development fund, and the fee at that time was established at $25,000 per space to give you the opportunity to not have to provide that space on site, and that we would use the money to provide general public parking around the city to make up for it. So, but that was the only place where so far. We did have that used one time so far in the Ocean Drive one. Since then, we've been approached by a property owner in Windy Hill that wanted to do something similar along 37th. And we have not established the ability to have that fee in lieu in any other of these 3 because there's been a demand for it up until now. So the property owner said, would the city please consider giving the same consideration to the Windy Hill district as it did to Main Street and allow a fee in lieu option here. And they are aware that the fee is $25,000 a space for Main Street. They have no problem with that fee. They're willing to pay it. But right now, the ordinance doesn't give them that option. So this would establish the right to do that in the Windy Hill one.
Are there certain businesses that are limited to being able to do this? In other words, this wouldn't be available for a house. Somebody builds a house and pays for no
That's
parking,
correct.
have nowhere to park at the house.
That's correct.
So it's just for certain businesses.
Yes, that is correct.
Because on Main Street, a lot of buildings were built there with no parking many years ago, and they couldn't improve those buildings beyond 50% of the value, or they were non-compliant. So this allowed somebody to make an improvement to an existing building there. So it makes sense as long as it's for business, because you have walkable and parking that is further than the required 300 feet. But it's hard to find a property within 300 feet of your business, so it's limiting people from improving their property, I believe. So this is a good idea. It was a good idea on Main Street, it's a good idea here, I believe.
Does this include new construction?
It could. You could have a clear site and ask for that fee in lieu. So,
Well, we have encouraged these corridors to grow in business. So we can spread out and everybody don't have to go to just one downtown Main Street. They can go to 17th Avenue South if they're staying in Crescent Beach. They can go to Windy Hill. And I think it's good because a lot of tourists are staying in their area and they want to walk. to
And
places.
realistically, where these are located, they're in location, very close proximity to intense hotel and resort development,
Right.
where people would love to have the ability to just walk across the street and get a bagel.
Exactly.
And then the exemptions are, multifamily residence uses motels, hotels, bars, nightclubs, and resort accommodations. So that those apply to them.
Right.
So really, it kind of sort of answers Jay's question. And like Jim said, these are all high-density areas where people are probably walking anyways.
This is going to bring some life back to when we did our comp plan too. We've always tried to embrace the heart of the city and started on Main Street. And this, to me, is just starting to kind of expand into doing that. I'm glad you guys did that.
Yes, thank you.
In the area we're talking about is the blue area, but is it the dashed blue area or the whole blue area?
It's, if you look at the, let me see, where's my map? You see where you've got the commercial here, they got the neighborhood commercial district and the RC commercial. Really mainly apply to that little commercial corridor within that larger area.
I'm looking at this.
Can you go back to the last slide?
Yeah,
So you're talking about the hatched area or the blue?
yeah. This blue area is the whole Piaco district, but a lot of that is single-family residential. But if you go back to that map I just showed you, that hatch area there is a different overlay zone, so just ignore that. But that other map that I showed you, can you bring that back up?
The other map shows it better.
Yeah. So in this particular case, you've got a neighborhood commercial zoning district right here in this kind of pink color, and in this sort of mauve brownish pink is the RC zoning district. So really, realistically, you're going to be limited to properties. There's probably, I don't know, 15, 20 properties that are in that little area right there.
And there's already commercial
Yes.
in there.
That's correct.
Right.
Is 17th Avenue South on this particular map?
We do have one of those Piaco corridors there.
It's on this map,
Right.
but I can't tell on this map how far, I mean, it's got the blue area there, but it's got something colored out. So it looks like part of it's maybe not included.
Right. So, yeah, that's another overlay district on 17th South. Right now, they don't currently have that option to do the fee in lieu.
Right.
Nobody has asked for it there. At some point, they may, but we've sort of been taking this as let's change it when the need arises.
I see.
Oh, it is for all? Okay, I'm sorry. I was mistaken about that. This would open it up to all of them. I thought we were just doing.
All 4 of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
The avenue, it doesn't show where it starts and where it stops. Or what, we know it stops at Ocean Boulevard.
Right.
But I think that's what Jay is
That-
kind of.
Yes, because
Looking
there's
for.
some vacant land there. Was there many years ago that may, be ideal. I just want to make sure that's included as an
Yes.
option in this
Exactly.
area.
My mistake. It
There are
does
some
open it up
homes-
to the other three.
There's some old homes that could be renovated and turned into a restaurant.
A lot of
Potential.
Yeah.
Even more people that are going to be that area, hotel.
Right. We had nice commercial development that was proposed where I think it was the old skating rink was there.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to that, but it was a really well-designed project, and I guess the economy turned and they didn't do it, but, and they were able to provide all their parking. They weren't going to need any fee in lieu parking for
Well,
that
I think
project.
some will want to provide parking if they can.
Yeah.
But I think we should pass, I think we should pass this ordinance. But
Yeah, I think so too. I just want to make sure we've got 17th included
Yes.
further up towards Highway 17.
Well,
That is correct.
I think it will improve the value of the land there for the landowners because you're going to have the opportunity to open a business or sell it.
When we first established it on Main Street, I wondered if the fee, but then it turns out somebody, and in this new property owner on 37th didn't even bat an eye at that fee, so it was a great choice by council back then.
They just wanted to get out of the 10-foot landscaping buffer
Maybe.
that we
maybe so.
passed earlier.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, is there any comment concerning this issue? If not, we'll close the comment, take our vote. We'll say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item G is ordinance on the first reading. It's an amendment to Chapter 22, Vehicles for Hire of the Code of Ordinance of North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, regarding vehicle immobilization devices and the maximum charge for non-consensual immobilization. Is there a motion to accept?
Second.
Okay. Who is going to talk to us about why this was brought up?
So, well, Dana can chime in if I don't get all the details correct, but essentially this is about the immobilization devices. The ordinance that was passed last year had a maximum fine of $125. And what's happened is the company that issues those charging the $125, but then in addition is charging another $75, $200 total, so that there's incentive for those folks that get these devices. Once they pay it, they will bring that device back to them instead of throwing it into a garbage can or whatever else they could do with it. So that the problem with that is that the way our ordinance was written, it didn't allow for them to charge 200 and then give 75 back. So this is just an amendment to make it so that is allowable.
Okay,
So it doesn't increase the price, it just
sure.
gives it flexibility.
So in other words, they're allowed to charge a deposit that they'll get back if they
Correct.
return it.
Correct.
Yeah,
So
because
it's just throwing it away out of anger.
they have a digital code on there so that if somebody's parked and they get the boot on their tire, they can call in and make the payment, and then they give them a code so they can take it off. But then they may, be mad and throw it away or something like that instead of bring it back, so.
Where do they take it?
They take it to the towing company, right?
Yeah, I think they have designated boxes in certain parking lots where you can return it
Oh.
to and drop it in there. But
Okay.
Okay,
yeah, this is just to ensure that they get it back.
okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Are there any questions or comments from the public? We'll close our public comment and take our vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous. Unanimous. Item E is ordinance on the first reading. It's amendment to Chapter 12, Traffic of the Code of Ordinance of North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, regarding consequences for parking citations and the annual parking fee exemption. Is there a motion to accept? Okay, we'll open it up for comments. You want to talk about it?
This helps us with the mobile home, people that own mobile homes and don't own the land and
Well,
kind of you know, we were going, no, you have to own the property, but
Correct.
you got condos, you got all kinds of different situations where this clarifies, and as well as issuing from 250 to 500 to the county.
Yep.
Correct.
You know, what I would like to, and I know we can't talk about it tonight, but maybe some talk about, we have a lot of business owners in the city that do not live in the city. If we could,
Bubba, can I stop? I might need to recuse myself. I'm not real sure on this, but just in case, I'm going to recuse myself.
Okay.
so, you know, maybe, well, let's take the Shack, you know, they don't live in the city, but could we provide them with a parking pass? Because they certainly generate a lot of taxes and income for our city. Just a thought, not to add to this, but
Yeah,
just
no, I
something
mean,
that, if we, I know it'd be logistics, because we use license tags, there's all kinds of things we'd have to work out, but that's just to me, would be a good will towards our businesses.
And I think it will be good to discuss that, because, you know, you've got a lot of companies that have a lot of trucks. And we would need to consider how many,
Like
and,
one per business or
yeah,
something, yeah.
that
Yeah.
type of thing.
But yeah, we could certainly explore that.
Okay.
But yeah, as Bubba said, this is, you know, there's two items here, mainly enclosed in this amendment, and that is, you know, we discussed it last year, kind of
Okay.
gets, you know, lost in the shuffle, those folks who are, they do own a second home here, it just happens to be a mobile home. They own the mobile home, they pay taxes on that mobile home, so there are property taxes that do come back to the city, but they don't own the underlying land in which their mobile home is situated on. So because of that, and the way the ordinance is written, they are not included in this. And if you run the numbers, and we've gone through this, and it's really maybe 30 people where this applies to. But these are folks who own a mobile home, it's their second home, and they might live in North Carolina or wherever, so they can't even use their, you know, they can't even register their plates on their car to that address because they're residents of North Carolina. So they really have no other way to make this happen, and this just really makes it whole. I mean, they have a mobile home, they have a golf cart, they want to go to the beach, and this is kind of a problem for them. So this just kind of rights that wrong. And the other issue was the idea of those passes that we offer to the county residents every year for an annual pass to use for the parking. Last year went from 200 to 250, and staff, after reviewing all the numbers on those parking results, we feel it makes sense to maybe extend that to 500 for the Horry County residents, to give 500 opportunities for.
I agree.
And, you know, and looking at the numbers, if you look at the numbers, which Pivot puts together all those numbers for us end of the year, it's like 98% of the hourly paid parking comes from outside of Horry County. So what you're saying is only 2% of the paid hourly rates in our lots come from Horry County. So even if we were to lose all of those, which it's really it's a non-issue, so it really wouldn't affect the overall parking revenue, but it extends that opportunity to Horry County residents, folks that live just outside our jurisdiction who use the beach regularly. That's doubles the opportunities for them to get involved and get one.
And paid parking has helped us to purchase many other properties to create more parking, so we have enough parking to do it.
We do. Okay, are there any other comments from council? Are there any comments from the public? If not, we'll close our public comment and take our vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We'll move to item F. Item F is the ordinance on the first reading to approve the conveyance of the city property identified as PIN 3511603030 and 35116030129, which lots are the current location of the fire station number 2 and Cherry Grove. In an even exchange for the property identified as PIN 351160200055, which is located between 23rd Avenue North and Sea Mountain Highway, which will be the new location for the fire station number 2 in Cherry Grove. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved. Second.
I think that's a very good move.
Well,
Yeah,
you
and
got-
I'd like,
You're
you know,
able to go in and out both ways. Right now, we're landlocked. We can only go to Sea Mountain Highway. This way, the truck, if it's real busy on Sea Mountain, he can get out the back.
correct. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of advantages to it, which Chief Lloyd could chime in
Sure.
about, but, you know, it was his idea, and, you know, we approached Frank Bolno about it, and he was very open to the idea and very generous with even considering it, and, you know, he ultimately wanted to do what was in the best interest of the city. If he could help out in any way, he was all in. So this helps us immensely, gives us, you know, more opportunity, and I think a little bit, you know, a little more flexibility. It's a little bit more narrow, but Chief Lloyd says he can make it work. So keeps us out of the flooding hazard. You know, we have a really bad storm. so.
Especially if Sea Mountain floods in front of the station,
Yeah.
now you can get out back.
Anybody have any questions, any comments? Any comments from the public? If not, we'll close public comment and take our vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? And that is also unanimous.
Now, I have to interrupt real quick. I need to go back to item 7C procedurally. We voted on it, but we didn't have a motion because Jim just started the discussion right away, and I need a motion.
Okay, is there a motion on item C?
I make the motion.
Second.
And we've already voted on it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, at this time, we will go into public comment. If anyone here from the public would like to come before the council and speak, please do so. There's a microphone at this area. We have a 3-minute limit.
Dana Brown, 2314 Vera Way. On your I think experienced people think they'd be falling. I want to thank Ms. Pritchard because I brought you the problem with the 2 Vera Ways and Longs, and we did get a letter from her saying they're working on it, and I'm really glad because they have mailed out my second voter ID card, which has gotten lost. So I don't know if that's going to the other Vera Way or not. And then I wanted to just thank my representative, Ms. Fontana, because the concurrent issue of getting our city restored or put back to where it should be, where I pay taxes at North Myrtle Beach. I want to thank her for calling the congressman and cutting immediately through all the red tape that sometimes governments get bogged down on. So we really appreciate it, and my neighborhood is behind you. So that was it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments?
I apologize for not signing up. When I read the website, it said 7 o'clock for the meeting. I may have misread it.
I understand.
I'll be happy to sign up if you need me to.
That's all right. Go ahead.
I want to get ahead of the hurricane. Good time to do it now, since we're out of the season. The retention pond.
I will need your name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry. Stephen Peddle, 603 3rd Avenue South, North
Okay.
Myrtle Beach.
Mhm.
Anyway, there's a retention pond at the corner of Elm and 3rd Avenue South. And it's my understanding that that particular retention pond does not disperse. It just holds water. And for the last couple of major events, as throughout the city, that pond fills up, and then the storm drains fill up, and then it fills back up towards 17, and then there's homes down there, including mine, not just mine, that are subject to flooding. In years past, I had flooding under my residence. So several of us residents there have tried to mitigate our own personal water problem. And we've took steps to do that, not just to hand it over to y'all. We've tried to do some things to mitigate that water. When that water does fill up, we have to call the city in an emergency situation, as the hurricanes are presenting, and ask for pump stations to come out, which they've responded on 2 different occasions and really have done a good job. stopping that water from rising, which has prevented us from getting flooded again. So my question was, in anticipation of possible another hurricanes, can y'all take a look at the pond to see if it can be, some silk can be removed? Right now, it's really low. You can get a visual on it and see the amount of silt that's down there in that pond that would add more volume if that particular pond does not disperse, which I don't think it does. And/or take a look at the pumping of that street during the hurricanes. I know that some cities have stationary pumps designated in certain spots so that when water does become an issue, they can go out and start those pumps and remove it before it floods anybody. And that's just some cities. But in your case, the city of North Myrtle sends out a temporary pump and hooks those up and starts draining all those storm drains to remove that water back up 17 to the left over to, I think it's Fifth Avenue, where there's two big ponds there that do disperse. So any consideration y'all would give to that particular pond and try to help us mitigate that water ahead of time is much appreciated, so we don't have to address it in the middle of an emergency.
Okay. First, I just want to ask, is that a private retention pond or is that a public retention pond?
Well, I've studied the retention ponds, and the best of my knowledge, that is not a private pond, but the retention ponds, as I've studied them over the years, they volley between state, city, and county retention ponds. That particular retention pond, I'm not sure who's responsible for it as far as a government entity, but I don't think it's private. It's just.
Right. Kevin, can you help us out here? And I'm sure we'll be glad to take a look at it.
That's all I'm asking. Just take a look at it.
Look like the swamp and the trees on Second Avenue and Elm.
There's some, this is on Third Avenue South
And Elm.
and Elm.
Okay, that's
And
what I'm talking
there's
about.
trees in there, and there's some debris in there, and I know it's an environmental issue, you know. you
The
gotta be
house right
careful.
beside it.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
okay,
right
I
there
know
on
where
that
you're
corner.
talking
It stretches from Third all the way over to Second.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about now.
And
Yeah.
I think this gentleman here has always helped us.
Already fixed your problem.
Yeah.
Pond's on private property.
Private.
It is just a natural drainage hole, and he is correct, when it does back up, the water does back up back towards Highway 17. We've recently designed a fix for that system, and we've acquired an easement between two of the patio homes on Third Avenue that drain back to the pond in between Fourth and Fifth. And as you may recall, that pond between Fourth and Fifth actually drains back across Sixth Avenue into the hillside retention pond system, which was done 15, 20 years ago. I'll have to check the status of the pipe installation. I know we have acquired the easements between those two patio homes. I just don't recall off the top of my head whether we've installed that overflow. So that will allow that backed up water then to go back to Fourth Avenue before it reaches, critical capacity within that drainage system.
Okay.
So the fix is in. I just couldn't tell you the status of the construction right now until I check with my staff.
Thank you so much,
And
Kevin.
just one more comment. This gentleman, we've talked to him several times, and he's always been excellent and helped us out tremendously. I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any other comments? If not, I'd want to thank all of you for being here tonight. And we still have to
Need a motion to
finish
go
up
back into-
our executive session. We never had a motion to come out of
You're right.
executive session. So we're still, our motion still stands. We will now move into executive session, and we'll say goodnight to the rest of you. Well, we're still in a meeting. We're still in a meeting. We'll adjourn everything.